Hi everyone, let's take a look at the network test file of test.py and learn a little bit more about that, how it was created for the other transactions, some of the other transactions, and roughly like what kind of things to think about when you are making a transaction test of your own. So this test.py file includes the test for all the transactions that have been done. So it will include token delete, token update, token create, token transfer. All of those are inside here. So what happens first is we're going to pull in the data that we need to be able to test these transactions. This doesn't pull all the data, just the operator data in this case, but you could add to it to pull in more fields if you need to. What some of these functions do is that they pull in the datas that are like specific to that transaction. So for example, here, you're just going to imagine that you have an initial balance of, I don't know how big that is, 10 million? No, 100 million. Okay, so the create token is using the client, the operator, but also an admin key, client, recipient, token ID, all these kinds of things. And so on. So this just means you can use it inside your function. Okay, so when you want to create a new account, I'm actually not familiar with this. Let me not talk about create new account. I'm not familiar with that one. But create an account. So we create the token create transaction. We input some fields that we think are valid. So example token, decimals to supply, so on. We are then going to sign it with the requirements that we need to be able to have a successful token create. And then this transaction needs to be frozen before we can sign it. And then that's it. We are just going to push that to the network. So inside our main, this was a token create transaction, which, yeah, we are loading our credentials. We are specifying like the network that we are using. We are, okay, I'm not talking about creating an account. We're creating a token to then associate. This is it, the create token. Yes. So we're giving it the fields that it needs to be able to do that, and that's just going to all run whenever we run this main. So let's look at another example. We have associate token. This one just requires the account ID and the token IDs in the list, and has to be signed twice by the private key of the operator and the recipient, and it has to be frozen before that. These fields, client, recipient, private key, all this kind of stuff, are being passed to us. We can access them. And then the transaction fails or it doesn't. Delete token. This one just requires just the token ID that you want to delete. Freeze it, and then you need to sign it, but you need to sign it twice. So here we got passed to us, hey, we want to have the token that we want to delete. We want to have the admin key that we want to sign with and the client that we want to sign with. And then it's successful or not. And then the only thing to be aware of is that to be able to delete the token, there needs to be like, actually no, yeah, this isn't an issue yet, but I think if you were to create, for example, token dissociate, you would only be able to dissociate the token if you had, I think, zero balance for it, which means that when you're creating this main script where all these transactions are done in sequence, you need to make sure that you've got the right sequence, or at least you rearrange things in the right way to make sure that all the transactions will actually work. And that's it. So this creates just one big script that just runs everything. And this is really important because, as mentioned, like a certain transaction can impact another transaction and so on. So running this whole thing and making sure it works on a test Hiero network is also really important. So how do you run this? Okay, so this is the bit I'm not 100% super clear on, but this is the way that I did it. So this is something that cannot be run locally unless you manage to install Solo. I haven't installed it, haven't tried to install it. So I noticed that you can have Solo as a GitHub action. So Nadine, whenever you do a pull request, for example, this token delete transaction, inside the checks, you can see that Solo is running and is testing this file and seeing whether it's going to work. So actually there's a warning here. No, maybe not too sure to view it from home, but that's the way we're going to do it. So essentially you're going to want to publish your branch, push all your changes to your repo, and then you're going to want to create a GitHub action with Solo, which will then run Solo for you. Make sure to have the GitHub Solo action done before you push so that it works on the push. If not, you'll have to create another push. So let me show you to my repo and show you a little bit about what happened with token dissociate from my perspective. Okay, 1 second. Remember how to share this again. Okay, so here I am on my fork of Nadine's project, and on my actions tab, I will see that I have Hiero Solo integrations tests. So I can't 100% remember how I got to that. Maybe I just did this, not too sure. Let's have a look. I have a feeling maybe it's because I forked it from Nadine's that it kind of was available to me. And then I had to turn it on. And then, okay, this is token dissociate. So you can see that when I pushed this token dissociate transaction, it spent 3 minutes 39 testing this network file. What happens here is it creates a Hiero style network, installs the packages that we have told it to install, and it runs the test. So here it is, it's running test file.py. And then you can see the output of it to check how it's going. So you can see it created the account, associated the transaction, it transferred it, and hey, it dissociated the transaction. That's what I was testing in that case. And it's running some other things too, and then overall I get a success or not success. So being able to push to your repo, your branch, should trigger the GitHub Solo. And if that's successful and your local tests are extensive and successful, then you are ready to publish it as a pull request to Nadine's file. All right, so if everything is good and you've checked and triple checked everything, then you click on the pull requests and you create a new pull request. Okay, maybe I shouldn't click that because I don't have anything to pull requests for, but this is generally quite a nice interface and it's helpful and things. So you will just take the branch that um, you want to, I don't know how to phrase it. You want to tell Nadine, hey, I finished this token dissociate transaction branch. It's looking good. It's passed all the tests. Could you look through it and maybe merge it with the main branch? One thing to note that I realized I haven't mentioned is that for it to be ready to merge with the main, not only do you need to pass all the tests and make sure everything's really good, you need to make sure that you have the most recent copy of Nadine's code base, the Hiero SDK code base. So to be able to do that, as you're developing your code in your branch, frequently create pull requests from the main branch. And that's going to make sure that you are using any new updated version of the main. That's a little bit difficult to be able, because you might have to rebase some of the commits. You might have conflicts, and you may even need to do some squashes. So if I'm able to, I will do a short video introducing you to some of that. But if everything goes well, I think it will tell you that there is no conflicts. So it tells you all the files that I've changed. Yeah, no conflicts with the base branch. All checks have passed. So this is the kind of thing that you're looking for, so that Nadine would be able to feel more confident that this is ready to push to the main. You can see here that she has given me some feedback with my initial attempt to create token delete, token dissociate. Oops, wrong one. So she said, for example, this bit isn't needed. Or for example, this sequence here can be improved. My logic for the test file could be improved, could become more streamlined. So she gave me some suggestions for that. And so my initial token dissociate commit then became improved. And then I have this second version on it, which has the past checks and the conflict with that. So there might be a little bit of back and forth process, but hopefully if and any push that I make now will be updating this document. So yeah. Okay, so hopefully that summarizes how you created a transaction. You've got the examples file, you have the tests, everything's looking good. I forgot to explain the README, updating the README. So I will do that now and hopefully add that in before I explain this last bit to you. But yeah, if everything is looking good and it's not conflicting with the main, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. So next up, or previously, I have talked about the README.